Welcome back, everybody. Today, we're going deep on an article with a pretty thought-provoking title.
Oh, yeah.
It's called ¿Es la IA la herramienta adecuada para resolver este problema?
Okay, so what's that in English?
Basically, is AI the right tool to solve this problem? And honestly, that question is everywhere these days.
It really is,
And
yeah.
I think a lot of our listeners are probably thinking about AI, like what it can do, maybe even wondering if it's the answer to, well, everything.
All right, like, is it all it's cracked up to be?
Exactly. And this article digs into all of that.
Interesting.
It gets into when AI is, the perfect solution,
Right.
but also when it might not be, and maybe when some other approach is better.
You know, what I really like about this article is that it doesn't just buy into all the AI hype.
Totally. Me too.
It actually, it wants us to, think critically about what AI can and can't do.
Yeah, and it starts off by saying we need to understand the nature of the problem before we even, start thinking about AI. What do you think about that?
I think it's about figuring out if AI is even the right tool for the job in the first place.
Okay.
Because AI really thrives on patterns and repetition.
Oh.
Like those systems that can, analyze tons of financial transactions and spot signs of fraud, stuff a human would probably miss.
Yeah, yeah.
Or how AI can look at huge amounts of data, like to categorize images with incredible accuracy.
So like those spam filters that keep our inboxes, under control.
Exactly. That's a perfect example.
Yeah.
But AI can, struggle when you have problems that are more, I don't know, like free-flowing or subjective. Imagine you're trying to get AI to make some big business decision where you have to rely on intuition, on gut feelings, or things that are constantly changing.
Yeah, yeah.
Or think about using AI to judge a piece of art, which, could spark completely different emotions in different people.
Right.
So there are still areas where human intuition and, creativity are really important.
So it sounds like AI is more of a specialized tool. Yeah.
Like a universal solution, right?
Definitely.
I'm curious, though, does this article give any like specific examples of where AI just, falls short?
It does. It uses this really interesting example. It
Okay.
talks about how AI struggled to predict a major market shift because it couldn't really, account for this sudden geopolitical event that kind of came out of nowhere. And in that case, human analysts, they were able to adapt to the situation really quickly, and they ended up making much more accurate predictions than the AI.
Wow. That's a really great example of how AI can, get tripped up by its reliance on historical data.
Right.
But what about those situations where AI and human intelligence can work together?
Oh, yeah.
The article mentioned something about hybrid problems.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't.
What does it say about that?
Well, it goes beyond just saying that, doctors and AI can collaborate. It gives a
Yeah.
specific example of AI analyzing medical images like X-rays.
To detect things that a human radiologist might miss.
Uh-huh.
But then the doctor, uses their experience, their judgment, to actually interpret those findings and make the diagnosis,
Yeah.
taking into account, the patient's entire medical history and actually talking to the patient too.
So it's like AI is providing like, a second set of eyes.
Yeah, a second set of highly trained eyes.
But it's still the human doctor who's calling the shots, right?
Yes, exactly.
So in those cases, AI is more like an assistant, not, the final decision maker.
I think that's a great way to put it.
But what about the, the fuel that powers all of this? The article calls data the fuel for AI.
Right. It does, yeah. It makes a really striking comparison. It says data is to AI what fuel is to a rocket.
Okay.
You need a massive amount of it to get that rocket off the ground,
Mm.
especially for, complex tasks like deep learning.
Deep learning. Now, that's a term I hear a lot,
Yeah.
but I'm not sure I totally get what it means. Can you break that down for me and for our listeners, too?
Of course. So think of deep learning as a type of AI that it kind of learns by mimicking the structure of the human brain.
Oh, wow.
It uses all these layers of artificial neurons
Okay.
to process information. And it needs a huge amount of data to train those neurons to, recognize patterns and make predictions.
So more data always equals better results.
Not necessarily, no.
Really?
The article makes it clear that it's not just about quantity, it's also about quality. Like the data needs to be accurate, representative, and free from bias. Imagine, feeding a child only junk food.
Right.
They might grow, but they won't be healthy, right?
Oh, that's a great analogy.
Yeah.
So bad data can lead to a poorly functioning AI,
Exactly.
even if you have, like, mountains of it.
It's true.
What about keeping the data up to date? How important is that?
That's crucial, especially if you're dealing with applications that are constantly changing.
Mm.
The article gives the example of using AI to predict traffic patterns.
Mm-hmm.
And it says if the AI is relying on old information, like road closures or accidents that happened hours ago,
Right.
it's going to make bad predictions.
Yeah.
So for stuff like that, you need real-time data updates.
Gotcha. So we've talked about, problem analysis and data.
Mm-hmm.
Now, there's this other thing the article talks about that I found really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
It says we need to make sure our AI goals and resources are aligned.
Oh, that's interesting.
It seems like it's, saying that we need a strategic approach to actually implementing AI.
Oh, absolutely. It's saying that just having access to AI isn't enough.
Right.
You need to understand what you're trying to achieve with it,
Uh-huh.
and if it's even the best tool for the job.
Right.
And it also makes the point that AI solutions, they can be expensive and time-consuming to, develop and actually use.
So you really have to weigh the potential benefits against, like, the investment required. It's not, one size fits all.
Not at all.
And sometimes a simpler approach might actually be better.
It's true.
Especially if you need a solution quickly or, if you don't have a lot of resources.
Yeah, it's all about choosing the right tool for the job, not just, jumping on the AI bandwagon because it's the latest thing.
That's a really great point.
It's easy to get caught up in the hype.
It is.
But it sounds like, a more, measured strategic approach is really key.
Definitely. Now, the article also, it distinguishes between AI as a complementary tool versus AI as the primary solution.
Mm.
Can you talk more about that?
Sure. So imagine you're writing an email, right? You might use an AI grammar checker to catch typos and maybe suggest some better wording, but you're still the one making the final decisions about, what you're writing.
Right.
That's AI as a complementary tool.
Okay, so it's like having a helpful assistant, but you're still in control.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm.
On the other hand, you have systems like self-driving cars.
Oh, right.
Where AI is, meant to be the primary driver,
Yeah.
making split-second decisions that could, be life or death.
That's a lot of responsibility to put on an AI. Are we really at a point where AI can handle, that level of complexity of decision making?
That's a great question, and that's where things get really interesting.
All right.
This article argues that we need to be really careful about whether AI can actually handle every possibility in these autonomous systems, especially when, unexpected situations pop up.
Right.
It says we shouldn't just assume that AI is always the best or safest option.
Especially when human lives are on the line.
Right, exactly.
It's a good reminder that AI is still developing and we need to be, realistic about what it can do.
I agree.
But, the article isn't all doom and gloom.
Right.
It also highlights areas where AI really shines.
Yeah, it does.
So what are some of those bright spots?
Well, one area where AI excels is automating, repetitive tasks, like sorting through emails or processing invoices.
Yeah.
It can do those things much faster and more accurately than humans can.
Okay.
AI is also great at predictive analysis, like forecasting product demand or identifying, potential equipment failures.
Right.
And it's also a perfect fit for spotting anomalies in huge data sets, like finding fraudulent transactions or, unusual patterns in network traffic.
So it's almost like having a superhuman detective working for you.
Yeah, something like that.
But the article also says there are times when other approaches might be better, right?
Right. It does.
What are some examples of that?
Well, it points out that AI might not be the best choice for problems that involve, interpersonal conflicts or emotional intelligence.
Yeah.
For example, if you're trying to mediate a dispute between two people,
Yeah.
that requires empathy and understanding of, social cues and all these complex emotions. And that's something that AI still struggles with. The article also says AI might not be ideal for problems that require a lot of creativity or, innovative problem solving.
Okay.
AI can work within given parameters, but it's not as good at coming up with, brand new solutions or thinking outside the box.
Got it.
And of course, AI struggles when there's not enough data or if the data is unreliable.
Right. That makes sense.
AI algorithms are really data hungry. And if they don't get enough high quality information, they just don't perform well.
It seems like a big takeaway here is that AI is powerful, but it's not magic.
Yeah,
It needs to be used thoughtfully and strategically, and we need to be aware of both its strengths and its limitations.
definitely. It's all about finding the right tool for the job.
Right.
And sometimes, that tool might not be AI.
We need to be realistic about what AI can and can't do.
Absolutely.
And we need to, approach it with a critical eye and a healthy dose of skepticism.
I think that's a great takeaway.
So we've covered a lot in this first part of our deep dive into whether AI is the right tool.
We have.
We've talked about problem analysis, the role of data,
Yeah.
the need for a strategic approach,
Right.
and the difference between AI as a complementary tool and AI as the main solution.
Yeah. Yeah.
But there's still so much more to unpack.
Definitely.
And in the next part of our deep dive, we'll look at some specific examples from the article.
Oh, cool.
We'll look at both the successes and failures of AI implementation. We'll also talk about, how AI technology is changing and what the future might hold.
You can't wait.
I'm really excited to continue this conversation.
Me too.
And I think our listeners are going to find some real, nuggets of wisdom in the next part of this deep dive.
Yeah, I think so too. So
Yeah.
stay tuned.
Yeah, stay with us. So, as we were talking about using AI strategically, there was something in the article that really stuck with me.
It talked about AI being able to handle massive amounts of data,
Right.
but also how there can be problems if you rely only on data-driven decisions.
Interesting.
And it gave this really fascinating example.
Oh, I'm curious. What was it?
Well, it talked about using AI for hiring decisions. On the surface, it seems like a perfect fit.
Right. Like AI could analyze resumes, find people with the right skills.
Exactly. It could even do preliminary interviews.
Yeah.
But the article pointed out that if you only use AI for these decisions,
Yeah.
it could actually make existing biases worse,
Hmm.
especially if the data used to train the AI
Mm-hmm.
already has those biases, from past hiring practices.
It's like that saying garbage in, garbage out, right?
Exactly.
If the data is biased, the AI is just going to make those biases worse, even if it's not programmed to do that on purpose.
Yeah. And the article says that's why it's so important to have human oversight.
Okay.
We need to be aware of the potential biases in AI systems and have checks in place so those biases don't lead to unfair outcomes.
So it's not just about letting the AI do its thing.
Right.
It's about having humans involved, asking the right questions, making sure it's being used responsibly.
Yeah, exactly.
The article also talks about AI being a journey, not a destination.
It does, yeah. And I think that's such a crucial point.
It's like AI isn't this fixed thing. It's constantly evolving.
Exactly. What's cutting edge today might be obsolete tomorrow.
Totally.
The article encourages us to embrace that evolution, to stay curious, experiment, and be ready to adapt as new technologies come out.
So it's not about finding the perfect AI and then just stopping there.
No, not at all.
It's about constantly learning and adapting and being open to new possibilities.
Exactly. It's like we're all on this AI journey together,
Yeah.
and there's still so much to discover.
And the article talks about trade-offs, right?
It does, yeah.
What are some of the trade-offs of using AI?
Well, one example it gives is about automation. AI can automate tasks and make things more efficient,
Yeah.
which is great for businesses.
Right.
But it also acknowledges that automation can lead to job losses if it's not handled carefully.
Yeah.
And that's a big trade-off that needs to be thought about seriously.
It's not as simple as saying AI will create more jobs than it destroys.
Right.
We need to be realistic about the impact on workers
Yeah.
and figure out how to support people who might lose their jobs because of automation.
Exactly. And that's where retraining and reskilling come in.
Right.
The article says we need to invest in education and training programs
Okay.
to help people develop the skills they need to thrive in an AI-powered world.
So it's not just about using the technology, but about preparing our workforce for the changes it'll bring.
Yeah, it's like a multifaceted approach.
Yeah.
And it involves governments, businesses, educational institutions, everyone working together.
It's a big challenge,
It is.
but it's one we need to face head on.
Absolutely. We can't just ignore the potential downsides of AI. We need to find ways to reduce the risks while making the most of the benefits.
This all goes back to that idea that AI is powerful, but it's not a magic solution.
Right.
We have to use it thoughtfully and strategically and understand how it could impact individuals, businesses, society as a whole.
Exactly. And that brings us back to the main question of our deep dive.
Is AI the right tool?
Yeah. Is it?
Yeah.
The article has some great examples of when AI works really well
Okay.
and when it might not be the best approach.
I'd love to hear some of those examples.
Let's dive in. One example it gives is using AI for fraud detection.
Okay.
It talks about companies using AI to analyze financial data, looking for patterns and signs of fraud.
Mm-hmm.
And it's amazing how fast and accurate AI can be at this.
Yeah.
It can go through millions of transactions in seconds
Wow.
and find things that would take human analysts forever to spot.
So it's like having an army of detectives working for you.
Yeah, pretty much. But what about an example of where AI might not be the best solution?
Yeah, what about that?
Well, the article talks about using AI to write things,
Sure.
like marketing copy or even novels.
Oh, interesting.
AI can write grammatically correct text.
Uh-huh.
It can even be kind of engaging, but it often lacks the nuance and originality and emotional depth that human writers have.
Right. AI can copy patterns in language,
Yeah,
but it can't really replicate that human spark of creativity.
exactly.
Or connect with an audience on an emotional level.
It's just not there yet.
So for now, AI is better as a tool to help human writers.
Yeah, I think so.
It can help with things like generating ideas or suggesting words, but the human is still the one driving the creative process.
It's like having a writing partner who's really good at the technical stuff,
Right.
but maybe needs some help with the artistic side.
Okay, that makes sense.
The article also has an interesting example about personalized medicine.
Oh, yeah.
It talks about how AI can analyze a patient's genes, their medical history, their lifestyle, and then create a treatment plan specifically for them.
Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah, it's like having a doctor who knows your body inside and out
Right.
and can predict how you'll respond to different treatments.
But there must be challenges with this approach too, right?
Of course.
What are some of those?
Well, the article says that even though AI-powered personalized medicine is super promising,
Yeah.
it also brings up big questions about data privacy and security.
Oh, right.
We have to make sure that patient information is protected and that the data isn't misused.
Yeah, that's really important.
And that's why the article emphasizes having strong safeguards in place.
Okay.
And it talks about needing clear ethical guidelines and regulations for using AI in healthcare.
So while AI could revolutionize healthcare, we need to be careful about how we use it.
Definitely.
We have to make sure that patient well-being and privacy are top priorities.
I think that's a great way to put it.
It seems like the message is that we need a balanced and nuanced approach to using AI.
Absolutely.
It's not about blindly adopting every new AI application.
It's about thinking carefully about the potential benefits and risks and making informed choices that align with our values.
It's not black and white.
No.
It's about navigating the gray areas, recognizing the limits of AI,
Yeah.
and using it as a tool to enhance human intelligence, not replace it.
Exactly. And as we move into the next part of our deep dive,
Okay.
we'll explore some of the emerging trends in AI
Cool.
and talk about what they might mean for the future of work, society, even what it means to be human.
I'm really looking forward to it.
Me too.
Yeah.
This whole conversation has been so insightful.
Yeah, it has.
It's clear that AI is already having a huge impact on our world.
It really is.
And as we move forward, we need to engage with this technology in a thoughtful and critical way,
Absolutely.
asking tough questions, exploring different perspectives, and working together to make sure AI is used for good.
I couldn't agree more. You know, it's amazing to think about how fast the AI world is changing.
It really is.
Even this article, it kind of suggests that some of the things we worry about with AI now.
It might not even be an issue as the technology gets better.
I think that's right. It definitely makes us think beyond the current limitations.
Yeah.
And one example that stood out to me was how it talked about AI and jobs. You know, a lot of people are worried that AI will replace human jobs.
Right.
But the article argues that as AI takes over more of the routine tasks,
Okay.
it'll free up humans to focus on, more creative and strategic work.
Interesting.
And that could lead to, totally new job opportunities that we can't even imagine yet.
So it's not just about AI taking over existing jobs,
No.
but maybe creating new industries and roles that don't even exist right now.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Kind of like how the internet changed everything.
Yeah.
And created all these new jobs in the digital economy.
Right.
And the article says this shift might mean we have to rethink how we educate people and train them for jobs.
Okay.
It's not just about learning specific skills anymore.
But about developing, adaptability, critical thinking,
Yeah.
the ability to learn new things as technology changes.
So being a lifelong learner.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Being comfortable with not knowing everything and being open to new possibilities.
That makes a lot of sense in a world where AI is, constantly changing thing.
It does, yeah.
And this brings us to another point the article makes about humans and AI working together.
Oh, yeah, collaboration, right?
Yeah. It says the most successful AI implementations are the ones that use the strengths of both humans and machines.
Mhm.
Like, creating this partnership where each side complements the other.
I like that. It reminds me of how, like, a chess grandmaster can lose to an AI,
Right.
but a team of humans and AI working together
Yeah.
can beat both the grandmaster and the AI on their own.
It's like the whole is greater than the sum of its parts.
Exactly. And the article gives the example of medical diagnosis.
Okay.
So AI can analyze scans and find potential problems really quickly and accurately. But it's still the human doctor who brings the empathy, the experience, the judgment,
Yeah.
to interpret those findings and make the final call.
So even with AI, we still need that human touch.
Yeah, definitely.
But, some people worry that AI will become too powerful, that it'll, get out of control.
Yeah, I've heard that too.
Does the article talk about that?
It does, and it has a really interesting take on it.
Okay, what does it say?
It says that instead of being afraid of AI becoming autonomous,
Mm-hmm.
we should focus on making sure its goals are the same as ours.
Ah, okay.
It suggests that if we build human values and ethics into AI systems from the beginning,
Right.
we can guide its development in a way that benefits everyone.
So it's not about controlling AI.
Yeah.
It's about shaping its evolution so it aligns with our values.
Exactly. It's almost like raising a child.
Yeah.
You can't control every decision they make,
Right.
but you can teach them right from wrong and guide them to be good people.
I love that analogy.
It really highlights how important it is to be responsible when we're creating AI technology.
Yeah.
It's not enough to just build powerful algorithms. We have to make sure they're used for good.
This whole conversation has really changed how I think about AI.
Me too. It's fascinating.
It's not just about the technology, but about how we use it,
Right.
how we shape it, and how we get ready for the changes it's going to bring.
I think that's one of the biggest takeaways from our deep dive.
Yeah.
AI isn't just a technology thing. It's a society thing.
It is.
It's going to affect everything, how we work, how we relate to each other, even how we see ourselves.
It's exciting and a little scary at the same time.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Like we're at the beginning of something new, and AI is going to be a big part of it.
Definitely.
But the future isn't set in stone. We get to create it.
That's a good way to think about it.
And that's why these conversations are so important.
I agree.
Exploring different views, questioning things, and really thinking critically about AI.
Well, this deep dive has been amazing.
It really has.
We've talked about so much: the potential of AI, the risks, the need to be strategic, the ethics, the whole relationship between humans and machines.
It's been quite a journey.
It has, and I hope our listeners have gotten a lot out of it.
I'm sure they have.
And to everyone listening, keep exploring, keep asking questions, keep learning about this incredible world of AI.
Because the future is what we make it.
That's right.
So, until next time, happy deep diving.